So next week we're going to be drawing portraits, but to prepare for that, we are going to start with facial features. And so I'm going to have you break down the face into eyes, ears, noses, and mouths. We'll start with cross contour drawings of facial features. We'll be doing four pairs of eyes first. So um, what I'm looking at here are eyes through glasses, and they're also shut. So we're going to be looking at eyelids closed. Um, I find that it's good to draw in the glasses so that I can arrange everything inside the glasses correctly by proportion and their distance from the each corner and the inside of the glasses. So you can see here I've got curved lines that kind of show the eyelids, and um, so in this next one, eyes are wide open, and I'm going to draw the entire eyeball and then cover it with the eyelids themselves. And the reason I do that is so that I can kind of show that curvature and the shape of the eyelids, because they lay over the eyeball and kind of discreetly disguise it. The inner corner of the eyes has the formation that indicates the tear duct, and the outer corner is usually much simpler. So look at the configuration of that, and the eyebrows, um, and make sure that the eyebrows are going in the right direction. The construction of the eye can be um, uh, seen clearly from all these different sides. Moving on to the mouth. Um, when you're drawing the mouth, first pay attention to the inner and outer edges of the lips. The strongest line on any mouth, whatever its shape, is usually where the lips part. And this line will be very definite, clear cut, and it'll extend the whole length of the mouth. So from side to side, uh, uh, like this, it's a little bit more obvious. The outer edges of the lips should not be drawn so strongly. Here, I'm drawing an ear, and ears can be very tricky. They have a lot of convolutions, and you know, it's going to take some practice. Again, looking at this eye, the lower lid must be drawn faintly, uh, and there are fewer lashes, and the lower lid drops. Um, the lower lid, because it faces upward, reflects the light, and it appears to be a little bit brighter. The upper lid looks darker and heavier because it's facing downwards, and the lashes are thicker. So moving on to the next. So I want you to fill the page with these. It might take more than one page to do. So I want four ears, four noses, and four mouths, and four pairs of eyes. So here's four ears, just laid in cross contour, and some lips and mouths as well. Um, and you can build this cross contour. Here I am working in pen. You can build this cross contour through cross hatching uh, with a pen or a pencil that start to build up your value that you're going to need for doing this again. You're going to do a whole set of eyes, ears, nose, and mouths in value as well. So here again, looking at a nose. Noses can be very tricky, especially when they're drawn from the front. So this one is a profile nose, but this next one here is going to be drawn from the front. Be careful not to make it too long. Look carefully at the width of the central ridge because it will determine the depth of the shadow cast on either side. The deepest shadow shown around the nose from the front is usually in the corner near the eye and the eyebrow. There's like the eyebrow ridge up there. The nostril can crease between the cheek and the nose, um, and that can be often very distinct, uh, as well as the nostrils themselves will be shaded in. Make sure to get the shape of the nostril correct, or it may look like a different nose. So here I've done more. I've kind of gone crazy with adding a bunch of these cross contour. I save you a little time and um, not show you the whole process, but this is kind of what I'm looking for. Fill the page with as many of them as possible. And when you've done that, so do that first. Come back and try it again with other lips, noses, ears, um, and eyes. Do it in value. So when you're doing it in value, I'm looking for you to kind of build up the shadow. You can be drawing your lines in that cross contour direction, but here I'm looking for less lines and more shading. So turn your pencil a little bit more on its side and build that those tonal values. And don't be afraid to get dark. You can push the dark as much as possible, then come back and erase. Um, and don't be afraid to uh, you know kind of exaggerate the light and the shadow a little bit, especially if your subject has um, kind of an even flat light. So here you can see I've really pushed the highlights and the shadow to give it more contrast and direction and give it a little bit more form and shape. So that's what I'm looking for when it comes to doing these in value. Here I've laid in a nice even gray. Uh, I would suggest this one drawing ears. It makes drawing ears a lot easier if you have a kind of a neutral gray um, as a base, and then you can erase and add darker, add pencil, or you can here, as I am doing here, add charcoal to darken up the areas. And the ridges of the ear that are closest to you are going to pull out that highlight, and so make sure to uh, you know to allow that light to hit and allow it to pop out. Here I'm just doing additive method with charcoal, which is fine too. Allows you to um, uh, really kind of have to build up your layers themselves. Takes a little bit more time. Uh, and then here I'm doing it ear kind of straight on. So when they're straight on, you see kind of less into the ear, and remember, the inner part of the ear is towards the bottom of the ear, and the length of the lobe of the ear can vary, and its shape can kind of vary. Um, uh, they're not something that we look at a lot, so um, but if you kind of forget to give respect to the shapes of the ear, it can look a little awkward. It can look like it's kind of just meat hanging on the side of your head. So it helps to at least get a general idea of where the shadows, where the ridges of ears tend to be, and where the opening is. Tends to be the darkest, have the most shadow. Um, and hopefully, by doing cross contour first, you're able to kind of think of these shapes. Um, Here, doing the eyes, I'm going to completely cover the paper again gray, so that I have a nice even tone. I take tissue and I wipe off the excess. Um, Measure it out a little bit, and I'm just going to build that dark as much as possible. You don't want to have too much white showing in the eyes. Here I have probably a little bit too much. I'm going to decrease it as I build my dark. Here I'm going to draw this gentleman wearing glasses. Glasses are a little difficult. I have to admit, especially thicker frames like these that I can kind of see inside. So there's this highlight inside of them. But I try to draw them in first so that I can arrange my eyes correctly. When I'm doing kind of quicker sketches, I try to draw the face first and then add glasses, but specifically we're looking at these eyes. I want to lay them in like that. And and also, you notice, I'm pulling out all my highlights with the eraser. So it's a really quick and easy method. I strongly suggest it. It's as you work on those, and when we get to the portraits here in a moment. So let's look at some student examples of this assignment in the past. I'm looking for you to at least fill one page, but you can work on the back of a page if you need more space. The smaller that you work on these, the more difficult it is to get it correct. So make them a little bit bigger than you need to be. So you can see some of these examples broke it up on multiple pages, and also look at some of these examples, especially in the mouth. One thing I didn't mention was the septum, which is this area between your lip and your nose. It's this ridge, and it can be more pronounced in some more than others. Men with facial hair, it's often covered, but it's still there. It's a little dip, and so find someone in your house that you can photograph or take selfies. So if you have any questions, just email me this week.